very warm welcome to our meeting this Wednesday, May the 1st. I'm the host for today, Mike Wozniak, theatre photographer based in Suffolk in the UK. You all know that. Sheeta, of course, is with us and will be acting as moderator through today's session. Sheeta, was there anything that you'd like to say to folks before we carry on?
I do, because I won't have a chance to say it at the end. And Mike, you're going to talk about our presenter for next week, Nick Bott. I want to say that I have been very excited to have Nick come to us. Nick used to be an engineer or a product manager for Apple for photos. And what I learned that Nick knows about that app, any apps, when it comes to editing and doing anything about knowing just the interior of how all of that stuff works. Nick is absolutely amazing. Nick is going to show us his recent app that he created. So you're really in for a treat. We're in for a treat to have Nick with us next week. So I wanted to just preface that because I want everyone to know, be there and invite someone if you can, to come and join us to our presentation next week.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Eckhart, of course, is with us. Eckhart, was there anything that you'd like to say before we move on?
Well, I had intended just to extend a warm welcome to our entire audience here today. But what Sheeta just mentioned, that next week is going to be so special. And she said our members shouldn't bring friends. And I'm not really ready to officially talk about a new policy we just discussed at our board meeting this past Monday. But we did discuss, because our bylaws are silent, how should we deal with members if they want to bring friends to participate in our meetings. And what we decided just a couple of days ago is that we would welcome, first of all, guests, and we would extend 2 meetings to them for free before they have to make a decision whether they want to become members or decide not to become members. We will put all that on a more formal policy, and we'll also publish it on our website. But I just wanted to say that because Sheeta mentioned bring friends. So please do go ahead and bring friends. And if our policy, I expect it to be published within the next few days. Mike, am I correct?
I was going to make an announcement, or I will be making an announcement.
All right. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Just explain how that works. But yes, thank you. Thank you. As ever, my weekly reminder about the NMUG website, where you will find absolutely everything you need to know about the group. And also a reminder that I've already set up a new thread on the message board attached specifically to today's meeting. So look out for it. If you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like to say, it's sitting, waiting to be populated by you after Christian finishes today's meeting. So a couple of announcements. One you've heard a few times now, and that is that we are just about to launch a pair of free beginners sessions. They're going to run on Saturday, June the 15th and Saturday, June the 22nd. The first session will be devoted to iPad OS, and the second one will be devoted to Mac OS. They'll run between 10 a.m. and midday, Eastern time, of course. And everybody is welcome to attend. There is no charge. It will come with copious notes. So if you feel that some beginner's advice would be useful, do come along. And if you know anybody at the moment who's just recently purchased a Mac or an iPad who might benefit from coming along to our classes, do tell them to join now. And that kind of brings me to what Eckhart was just kind of hinting on. That is something that's going to happen big time from the beginning of next season. So in fact, this will not come into operation, as I understand it, until September. But we're going to move to issuing different Zoom web links for each of our meetings, rather than having, at the moment, we have a single address, which I'm sure some of you have copied and pasted somewhere ready, so you can just drop it in and use it. But from the first meeting in September, we'll be changing that Zoom link for each meeting. And the reason for that is exactly the reason that that Eckhart just explained. It's so that we can invite non-members to come and try out NMUG before making a decision, hopefully, to join us as fully established members. Now, at the moment, of course, if we send them the current Zoom link, it would mean that they could attend every single meeting into the future, which is not fair if they're not a paid up member. So for that reason, all of that's going to change from the first week of September. You all know where to find the links. They appear in your they appear in your mailbox every week in the form of an email from Dan. And also they can be picked up from the website once you're signed in as a member. So it shouldn't make a great deal of difference to any of us, but it's something to look forward to a little later in the year. Sheeta's already talked about Nick Bart. He sounds extraordinary. I love the name of his company. So he set up a company called Gentleman Coders, which sounds to me like some kind of secret organization. As Sheeta said, he worked for Apple and was involved in the current version of Photos that we all love. Not the current one. Sorry,
not the current, but yes.
But yes, he was involved in establishing Photos. That's a better. I can't guess a better way of putting it. So he knows Photos probably better than just about anybody else. And he's created a program called Nitro, which I'd never heard of. I downloaded this morning because it's available for a 7-day free trial. And I was immediately absolutely gobsmacked at its integration into Photos, because basically you can direct it to your Photos library, or you can direct it to whatever other library you want. But I just tried it with the Photos library. And in the space of a second, it basically became Photos, but with a wide range of really wonderful professional editing facilities, which
yes,
previously none of us had access to unless we took our images out of Photos and opened them up in something like, I don't know, Affinity Photo or Pixel Maker or something, some Photoshop, something like that. So this integrates absolutely 100% with Photos. And I absolutely know that when my 7-day free trial finishes, I will be purchasing this software because it is stunning, absolutely stunning. And we hope you'll join us to learn more next week. So that's next Wednesday. That brings us to our resident rocket scientist, ex-rocket scientist, Christian, everyone's favorite Mac expert. And Christian, I would love to pass the baton to you now and just stop my share so that you can take over. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to this too. Actually, next week's meeting sounds really great. I think maybe I'm going to have to go watch that one. But this one's going to be special too.
Oh, we don't doubt it.
They're all special. Okay.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to just jump right into this today. Before I jump in, you know, this business of online scams is such a drag, but it happens all the time, and there are signs, there are ways to recognize these scams before you fall for them. There's so many of them that we can learn from them. That's what we're going to do today. We'll learn to spot these things before they become problems. It's way easier to spend a little time learning how to not get into trouble than it is to try to get you out of trouble. So many of my customers, when they're not sure they forward the email to me, and then I tell them, tell them it's a scam. I show them why, and then we move on from there. All right, so today we're going to learn how to recognize these things in the wild. So I'm going to share the screen now. So as usual, we're going to have a little bit of keynote stuff, and then we'll do a lot of live stuff. This is sort of the unusual meeting for me, because I'm typically teaching you something where I'm going to have you work along on your own device. Today, hopefully you don't have exactly the same scams that I'm going to show you, so you don't need to work along. You just sit back. But I do want you to pay attention, because we're gonna see the same sort of themes happening over and over in my email on my browser, and we're going to hopefully that'll transfer to you, and you'll just remember that when you're doing your own work. All right, so what are we doing today? Let's see here. What are we talking about? Good question. Well, email scams, that's one. And scams that show up when you're using your web browser, Safari or Chrome, or could be Firefox, could be something else. But mostly Safari, Safari and Chrome are the big boys, so we'll talk about those. We'll also talk about some basic tips to keep everything safe. And let's see, what else will we do? Oh, we'll learn how to look at Safari and Chrome to see whether software has been added and modified to sort of track what you're doing and to possibly do very bad things. So we'll learn about that too. So this will be something you can actually do, action that you can take today. Oh, and then some links for further study. Now, there is a lot of information out on the internet about